Jonathan, CEX.io, established in 2013, originally as a Bitcoin cloud mining provider, but now one of the largest and most trusted exchanges. First of all, what has been the secret of CEX.io's success and longevity?
Well, I guess the key thing is we've always put the customer first. We've always been customer centric, and with that we've always believed in strong governance, strong risk management, innovation. We were the first ecosystem to allow credit card and debit card payments for crypto, making it very easy for people to get into the ecosystem. We were one of the first to do direct purchases using Bitcoin and Ethereum. We've always taken the regulatory path, even if it's not necessarily been the easiest way to win in a particular country, because we've always thought that having strong governance is what stands you apart from other people in the space.
And speaking of the space now, it's interesting times in the crypto world, reeling from the FTX collapse. What was the initial impact upon CEX.io when the FTX news broke?
I mean, it's a shock to anybody, and unfortunately, these things they put the industry back. You know, they set it back, and we were thankfully not exposed to FTX or exposed to the FTX token, so our users, you know, they're completely insulated from that. But these things shouldn't be happening, and I think they're required for more governance and more regulation and standardized regulation and governance. For us, I mean, I think it's just, you know, we don't like to see these things happen. I mean, when I was in banking, you know, you didn't like to see Lehman's collapse, for example. Inevitably, you'll see users come across and so on and so forth. But it's just not very good for the industry. So.
Because I was speaking to other exchanges as well, and they said there was an immediate increase in the number of people coming onto the exchange. But will the long-term damage, or if there is any long-term damage, outweigh any short-term benefits for this?
I think that it has to be a wake-up call for the regulator. You know, these things shouldn't be happening. You shouldn't have firms like FTX and all the associated companies going bankrupt and people losing their money, and that's because of poor regulation. And now, post-event, you see the regulator crawling all over this sort of stuff and crawling over exchanges like us. And I think, you know, the regulator needs to differentiate between the bad actors and the good actors, and that kind of doesn't happen. And of course, there's no standardized regulation.
And so, with regard to regulation and governance, what else can be done to build and rebuild trust in crypto?
So a lot of it is to do with education. I think, you know, the average consumer that may be interested in trading crypto probably thinks that they can do big wins and it's all about speculation. And it's a bit like tulip bulb and light bulb. You know, tulips, obviously, you know, everyone knows the story about the tulip market and everyone investing in it, speculating it. But light bulb, you know, is it a great idea? Is it something I really want to invest in? Does it have long-term gravitas? And if it does, then it's worth putting and investing into. And I think we as an exchange, an ecosystem, have to educate users into, you know, good trading, try not to speculate, invest in things that are interesting to you and that have long-term economic value. And unfortunately, too many retail investors think it's a quick win, speculative environment, and inevitably, I guess they never sell. They hold on to things because they think it's going to go going up and up and up, and it doesn't. So, unfortunately, too much volatility.
Yeah. And so, I mean, despite your youthful appearance, you've got over 20 years in the online trading and the banking world. What similarities do you see in the crypto world now, and you know what you've seen in the FX world over the years?
I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but equally there's a lot of things that are very different. So, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be in markets for 20 years, as you say, and I've also seen different cycles, and what's happening in crypto is no different to cycles that you would have in other markets. Yeah. You know, we're in everyone talks about crypto winter. Actually, it's just a bull market. The difference being is that, you know, if you think about equities and foreign exchange, you can look back through hundreds of years of trend and kind of work out where things might be happening. And of course, subprime 2008, markets get much more regulated, and volatility decreases to a certain extent. In currency markets, like often with the Swiss franc, you don't get these massive swings of volatility. In crypto, you do, and unfortunately, people get burnt, and other people make a lot of money. But there needs to be a trust in the system. People, rightly or wrongly, some people trust banks, some people don't trust banks. But the fact is, they've been established for many, many years, and because they've been established for many, many years, and markets are established and they're efficient, you don't get these huge volatile swings. So,
excellent. So, what made you make the move into crypto?
This is a question I got asked before, actually.
I'm sure.
Actually, my 21-year-old son.
Really?
And he was investing in crypto, as any retail user, and I think probably invested at the wrong time. Dad, it's like, Dad, you should look at these things. And when I was at Standard Chartered, we obviously had some interest in crypto. Obviously, they had Zodia Markets and Zodia Custody, and I was kind of involved in the peripheral of that and took an interest in crypto. But I was pretty much ready to retire, so sort of coming back to something that's quite innovative and entrepreneurial was of interest to me. So.
Excellent. So going back to CX.io, so a lot of exchanges throw a lot of money at sports sponsorships, a lot of money. What is the CX.io position on sports sponsorships?
We are not investors in. We don't buy endorsements, and part of it is, you see all these very big exchanges having their associations with NFL and NBL and so on and so forth, and actually, you get a lot of users that would come on to the platform because of that. But the reality is they don't necessarily understand what they're getting into. And for us, our belief is that it's better to take that money and to invest it into our products and our ecosystem and kind of the future of what we do. The other thing that you find is that within crypto, I was amazed when I joined the crypto space, there is a lot of sell it, build it, right? And I think our belief is build it, prove it works, and then go and sell it. And I guess that's a little bit different to banking, because in banking, the cycle of building things take quite a long time, but you're building things that customers want. Whereas in crypto, things get built really quickly, generally because they've sold it already. And I think that's wrong, because they don't get tested. So, and we almost take the opposite stance on that.
Okay, and so recently you relaunched the listing program.
Yeah, so we've always done listings, and we would always have kind of organic growth in that space. But what we were finding was that our user community were interested in new projects, new initiatives, things that basically really advance the value of kind of blockchains or projects. And so, because we had all this infrastructure already in place, but it wasn't really at a state where we could grow it, we basically completely reinvested in it. And we have a huge due diligence process in projects coming on board, and actually, we don't list everything that we're approached to, because some of them are, really not very, they don't offer any value, they don't get past our compliance. Other things that are much more interesting, then we would happily list and go through that process. So.
Now, in the UK at the moment, CX.io are no longer the FCA register, actually registered as of June, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And so, what was the reasoning behind the move?
I saw something earlier about, what lasts longer, and it was like a bottle of wine, UK government, or a lettuce. And it's a bit like that. I think we were waiting for a consistent government that has a direction before we applied to the FCA for our registration. Because with so much change going on, there's absolutely no point in doing something, meeting all the standards, and then suddenly it all changes again. But I think we're getting towards that with Rishi and stuff. It seems to be much more crypto oriented.
Like it's getting a bit more crypto friendly. We've got Dr. Lisa Cameron here as well, talking about advancing crypto. Do you think enough is being done to protect crypto users in the UK?
Not currently. Not currently. But I think that will change. That will certainly change. And I think regulation like MiCA in Europe there's a lot to help standardize things, and hopefully you're never going to get away from people being able to do peer-to-peer trading. You can't regulate that, but centralized exchanges like us, we take the I guess the most secure path of governance in order to offer. We're not afraid of regulating, because regulation creates trust.
Yes.
And that's really important to our user base.
And so, speaking of users, over 5 million now, I understand, globally. Last year or this year has been a very good year for you, a whole host of awards as well, award-winning. What can we expect from you guys in 2023?
Well, obviously, we spoke about listings. We've got quite a lot of new projects that are coming on that are in the process of being listed, and we are re-engineering some of our products and our ecosystem. So I think we just continue to invest, and it's interesting what's happening in the market. It's a bit, I call it kind of crypto Darwinism. You're seeing kind of bad actors. Thankfully, you're seeing them go, but it has an impact on the market. I think for us, in these kind of bull markets, I hate the term crypto winter. In these bull markets, we like to reinvest in our infrastructure and our architecture, so that when the market is on a bull run, we've got some really interesting products to give to people.
So we'll look out for some news next year.
Yeah.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and insights. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much. Thank you.